Mr. Al.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the November meeting of the commission to order. First we'll do roll call. Right now we're missing Lindsay, Steve, and Christopher. We'll move to approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second on that?
Second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Okay, we have an agenda. Let's move over to brief announcements. Tracy, any announcements?
I have one. You guys might have seen it. The city had a little press release about it, but Chris he might have talked about it last month. I wasn't here, but
Okay.
he's been working extremely hard on trying to, organize a prescribed burn at Southport Preserve. And so, well, actually, so because of the weather and the wind, it actually probably isn't gonna happen until Friday. And it might not even happen Friday, it might happen a couple weeks later. He's got like this really short window. So did he talk about that last?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
What was the end of the window of potentially doing it?
Well, he really has to do it before any significant rain happens. So, it's supposed to rain a little bit in a couple weeks.
Okay, so we don't have a hard end, it's just the
It's
rain.
the weather, yeah. So, anyway, I know he talked about it last time, but I just wanna make sure you guys,
Tomorrow might be too windy, huh?
yeah, yeah. So now it's looking, cause it's supposed to, I think, also rain maybe a little bit on Wednesday, but they think Friday, Friday might be the critical day. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention, just if you drive by there and see all of that happening, or you see smoke, that's what's happening. I know he talked about it last month.
Okay, thank you. Any other announcements from commissioners? Okay, let's move into public comment, of which we have no public here.
Okay.
So I think we can probably skip over that and move to the consent calendar, which is the minutes from last month. We have a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Okay, got the teamwork happening over here, that's great. Any comments, additions, changes to the minutes?
I had a comment.
Okay.
I wrote from our minutes last time that we were looking for a general plan update too, but I didn't see it in the minutes, but I don't know if that's something we could expect anytime soon.
I didn't see that in Chris's, notes. A general plan update?
A
I saw a budget.
request from you, is that what you're
No,
saying?
not for me, I just
Oh.
wrote it down. Someone had said that at the last meeting. I don't know if it was you, Patrick, or someone.
Because
I got the
That
budget.
doesn't ring a bell then.
He said something about a budget update?
Oh yeah, and I was gonna comment on that too, but.
I put that in on number 8, but I didn't see.
But just on the general plan, I don't remember the specific reference
Oh, okay.
to that.
Yeah, but that doesn't ring a bell to
and
anyone.
maybe it had to do with the Davis zone of influence, and then maybe we commented that might change with the general plan. I don't know. I don't recall.
I do have that on my, tickler for
For future,
future.
okay.
Yeah,
I
we
do
will
have
be
that on
going into that.
my future calendar, items. So I definitely have that on there.
Cool.
And then what was the,
Flagging in case someone
and then
wanted.
what was the second?
Oh,
Come
yeah,
in.
the budget
Yeah.
update, yeah, I think I was the one who had brought that up, if there was some kind of matrix, that shows what parcels that were purchased, when, where, and then the remaining budget week. And so I think Chris had said that probably exists somewhere, so I just wanted to add, more context to what that discussion was.
Yes, well, there, on the website, I do a budget, kind of a budget overview update every year when I can.
Yeah.
The last one is the one from last year is on the,
Okay.
and that, there's one slide that talks about what's in the fund balances, like in Measure O and in the, Open Space Development Impact Fee Fund, and so it gives you the totals there so you can kind of see. And it also shows just what the base budget is and what the funding sources are. So it's in the financial and program accountability page.
Okay.
So I haven't put the new one on yet, I'm still working on it, but you can at least kind of get a gist of what it was as of June.
Oh,
So
yeah,
not that
that's
long
pretty-
ago.
yeah,
I mean,
that's
last-
really recent.
I think
Okay,
that's
cool.
when I put the last one up. Well, it was probably a little bit further than that.
I don't think we got a budget update this summer.
We didn't.
Yeah, so I think some of the context was also, as we talked about the different potential acquisition reports, just
Mhm.
putting those in context of
Mhm.
how frequently do these occur, how much of the budget is this, how many over
Mhm.
time, and we said, I think that there was a breakdown in the budget reports over time where you would show that, so I think that was
Yeah,
some of the
thanks, yeah.
discussion as well.
Thanks about-
Yes, yeah, I know. It's like right now, this is very unusual
Yeah, that's what I was
to have this kind of, right? It's
Yeah.
unusual to have this many all at the same time. And some may or may not happen. In fact, I'll get to it, but
Yeah.
the GIL 3, that one's not happening, even though it's on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
It's not happening right now. So some, we pursue and then they don't happen. And then the ones, of course, when we do the grants, we only have to contribute 10% of the acquisition cost, which isn't really very much.
Right.
So, on those where we get a grant, we hardly have to pay anything, which is great, but it's also not great, because then I got to use the money in the Measure O fund. So, but I would totally, I could even sort of prepare, I have the what all the easements were, and, we've done some background reports and show Measure O, what's been used. Because not all the easements Measure O hasn't been used on every single easement. We've used other funds as well. So we can talk about that when I do the budget presentation. It's still on my mind to do it.
Got it.
It's more, finance has been kind of embroiled in audit, and it's hard to get information that I need to update our budget.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons it's I haven't done it yet, but I intend to, because I want to get the new budget up on the website and bring it to the commission. I might be able to do it the next meeting, so can definitely, answer questions about that. But the bottom line basically is we have plenty of money.
Yeah, okay.
So unless it's an easement that's really sort of just, I don't know, out in the middle of nowhere, not connected to anything, not particularly, I could see okay, why are we doing that? But some of these, the reason I do the preliminary acquisition reports is kind of show them in context with everything else.
Yeah.
And kind of make the argument, yeah, this one is probably worth it for these reasons. Anyway, but yeah, it's a great question, because I know right now it's oh, this one, that one, this was oh my gosh, it's a lot. Which is very unusual to have this many all at the same time.
Awesome, thanks for that.
So any amendments to the
No.
minutes? You're good,
Thank
okay.
you.
Okay, yeah. We're just going over the minutes. Have any questions or?
No, it was good.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the table to approve the minutes. So barring any other comments, all in favor? Aye? Aye. Opposed? No? Okay. Good. Let's move on then to the Shoning clause first item.
So you can see, this is 6A, correct? I can't see. Yeah, this is right, okay. I just gonna put the map up. Did everybody get a chance to look at this? I know this is,
Yep.
we kind of talked about it once before. So this one, I was hoping to get an update from the broker that I've been talking with, who knows these people, who knows these property owners. But we didn't connect last week, so I'm gonna try to do that again. Now, following on what the last question about the budget, for something like this, we would actually be using, if we actually did do this, we'd be using almost all of, well, not almost all, but a huge
Okay.
chunk of it. Because for these are where we're buying the property outright. I wouldn't be getting a grant from SALT because they just do easements. So this would be, we would be using a lot more of the money doing a big acquisition like this, or if we did this other one, this one we're still trying to wait on, and this one's still a possibility as well. So that's why I guess the way I see it is I kind of like to have, some options. And when it comes down to it, we see sort of which ones at the end of the day we actually do. Because honestly, these two of anything are probably the most important of all the ones that we've talked about. So if these two come through and then we don't have any more money, then that's how it is. But
That's great, yeah.
we still, I still probably could cobble together enough to come up with 10% for some of these acquisitions for the easements, but those two would be big ticket items if we were able to buy those. Anyway, so I hope everybody had a chance to kind of look at the preliminary acquisition report. I tried to, for this one, because again, this one's a little different. We're not kind of buying it for the farm reason. So I tried to, go into the, actually, it's also, and because it's in Solano County, I wasn't really familiar with, kind of where this property, falls within, Solano County. I'm not as familiar at all with Solano County's habitat conservation plan. So I went in and kind of, looked at some of the maps. These are just the soil classification maps, which, are pretty much what you would think the soil is in this area because of, where it is in kind of the watershed. It's all, it's really good soil. Of course, it's just that river wash in the river parts. I'm gonna skip these because those are, but so I just went and kind of looked in the Solano County, you see this, but this, and looked at, kind of tried to pull out some of the key maps that they had in there, and where sort of this, what they sort of considered this area. So you can see it's, on this is an older map. Well, it's based on, I don't know, you guys probably know more about who this Kuchler guy is than I do. But, or Kukler, however you pronounce it. But, it falls within that riparian forest area. I think in the staff report, I was saying how, it actually is in this one, in the plan, it's designated as a priority acquisition area because it contains multiple conservation elements such as the riparian vegetation, the presence of some of the covered species under the Solano HCP, like Chinook salmon and steelhead, trying to keep the watershed together, watershed integrity, and trying to, protect the water quality of that stream, of the creek. So those were kind of the things that were called out. And then it was also noted for its riparian vegetation stance. So that was one of the maps that I found. And then this one it was kind of interesting where it sort of falls. This is in the riparian stream and freshwater marsh, which is the blue, and then the green is actually, I think, just the, it's still in the irrigated agriculture area, obviously, because that's what is everywhere around.
Yeah.
And then this one, what did this one show? I didn't have a chance to review these again today, so they're not totally fresh on my mind. Oh, okay, right, so this was in conservation area, this third one, and then when I looked it up, it focuses on restoration because these areas include stream reaches that meander through the alluvial fans, terraces and basins, and the delta and the bay marshlands of Yolo County. And I think one of the main things was that they stressed in this plan was that, which is kind of what we're trying to do here. Oops, I don't know why I did that. Was that, and we all know this, was that, you know, since, you know, so much of the riparian forests have been lost, you know, over time, that the main goal of these areas was restoration. You know, it was to try to, you know, increase the number of acres that are in that particular riparian land use category. That was one of the main things that was in the plan that I thought was kind of interesting. So, you know, I know we kind of talked about this before about, you know, trying to, see location of major vegetation stands. I haven't really, we, you know, the acquisition subcommittee also, maybe you guys, we went on a tour. I don't know if you guys want to talk a little bit about your impressions. You know, we didn't walk in, we didn't get out because, you know, it's still private property. We drove on the levees on both sides, and so we could see, you know, we could see the farmland obviously, and you could see the, you know, the narrow riparian strip in the middle. So I don't really know how wide it is or anything like that, but, you know.
But
it's, the farmland goes pretty, I mean, there's a farm, it goes pretty much up to, as far as it could go, pretty much. So that could definitely be, you know, widened if we converted some of that farmland to oak savanna and riparian. This one, what does this one say?
Endangered species.
Okay, right, so this is just showing the known occurrences, which is one of the reasons why, again, it was in a priority acquisition area, because obviously the salmon, and there's not that many areas where the salmon are, so that's why this one isn't a priority restoration area.
It also shows an occurrence of giant garter snake close by.
This right here, yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know why, I wonder why it's right there.
Oh, they're probably all over, but they've only been seen there.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, they probably are in that whole area. So, I don't know, looking at that, I mean, it just, I mean, it sort of just, you know, kind of validates just the general feeling about this property and how important it is. It sort of just validates it, that it's kind of, you know, called out in the plan.
And that first map that you've shown is an effort to remap what the original vegetation was before it's been changed by, you know, introduction of agriculture, etc. So it shows that there was like a much more extensive riparian forest there that existed, right?
Yeah.
And then now we only have that little narrow, you know, corridor just along the creek. But, you know, the idea would be to go back to more what
That's interesting.
used to
how
be
far out
there.
it goes out right here.
I'm intrigued, by that lobe of riparian.
I know. I know.
That's not real.
Come
I
on.
know, like, why, I wonder why that would be.
It was probably because there was a distributary and there were a ton of channels that
Yeah,
were throughout there.
yeah.
And it probably had limited riparian seasonally vegetation, but it's not anywhere, there's no, I mean, today it's impossible.
Oh, today, no, but,
Yeah,
But distributaries, you know, they're classic for that. I mean, if you're gonna do that, you might as well just make the whole Central Valley like that.
yeah, it was kind of interesting.
I will say, I haven't been out there just on the tour that we did.
Yeah.
I've been out there a number of times,
Yeah.
Right.
with the dog, and it's a
Right.
fantastic, piece to expand what we're working on with South Fork and the South Fork edition. You know, even if we didn't do any restoration or habitat creation, it would still be, you know, a great thing to get, but, you know, there's plenty of opportunities if there were willing sellers in between the levees there to do a lot of great work.
And again, I think, you know, we've mentioned before too,
Lindsay.
trying to connect up. Oh, sorry, were you gonna?
Lindsay was raising her
Oh,
hand.
oh, sorry,
I
I was looking.
One more to questions. Are we to questions?
Go ahead.
I just have a question, given that the properties in Solano County and understand, like, looking at the map, I think there are multiple shades of green, so I think, is this an unprecedented fee title acquisition for the city, or is it not in Solano
No,
County?
cause that little
That
piece,
10 acre.
that 10 acres that's on the other
southwest.
side of, cause basically Mace is the dividing line and we bought 10 acres.
Okay,
So that's Solano County, we bought that,
as a,
open space.
as a, like, percentage of the larger South Fork, or is it a separate?
Separate parcel.
Okay.
It's a separate parcel. Yeah, it was I think of it as an expansion of South
Okay.
Fork because we didn't own anything on the
Mhm.
west side of County Road 104.
But it was a standalone 10 acre parcel.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just curious what like, if it
matters.
matters and the city council perspective on spending outside the county, like, just what is their,
It's in the
No.
Davis planning area still, so there's already,
A lot of
I didn't
Davis
know
is
if
in
there was,
Solano.
like,
If you look at the map.
opportunities to negotiate some sort of, sharing opportunity with Solano County for, like, quoted some of the operations and maintenance, like, if there'd be any sort of opportunities to leverage our purchasing of the property
Yeah.
with meeting their, habitat conservation plan goals as well.
That's a good
So
idea.
just didn't know if there was, like, a partnership potential and if there's a precedent for that, for, cross-jurisdictional.
I mean, yeah, and it's a good point, because like I have a relationship with, well, somewhat of a relationship with the Yellow Habitat Conservancy, right? But I don't know anybody
Yeah, I would say
who's
there's almost
involved in
no
that plan.
relationship with Solano County at all, but that would be something definitely interesting to explore.
There's a little bit with the planning department, because we do get like, like, for example, that's how I found out about that El Molino easement. They sent us, the planning department sent and said, hey, by the way, this guy's trying to subdivide this property, as a courtesy, right? They send,
Sure.
that's how I found out about that. So there's some interaction, but yeah, I mean, I could, that's, I could, reach out to them for sure and see if, let them know that we're thinking about it, if it gets a little bit more. Right now, it's a little, we're just having conversations with them, but if it gets a little bit more serious, like, definitely reach out to them, that's a good idea.
And I don't really know how robust their HCP process is.
Is it even approved?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It's not, it
I,
looked approved.
I don't know.
it, forever, they've been working on it since we've been working on the YOLO one. And, they still hadn't approved it as of 2020, as far as I know.
Well, even if it wasn't a county, there might be other Solano, like the Solano Land Trust, or like others that are focused on the same priorities in Solano County that might have ideas for partnership to ease the financial, long-term cost.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
It would primarily
Maintenance would be
benefit the people of Davis, since it's so close to our town. But it's worth checking.
It doesn't hurt to ask. I think that's a good idea.
I mean, I think we're talking about habitat and benefits that are beyond the people, so
Yeah,
if that's one of the main motivations of the.
yeah, I can definitely try to, well, first of all, find out, it looks approved to me, but I can find out if it is approved, but then try to get a contact with them and just say, hey,
Just so you
I wonder
know,
if they fund.
they use it, even though it's not approved, they use it as basically their open space element guiding document.
Do they?
That's what we did in YOLO in the 10 plus, 12 plus years that we were developing the YOLO plan.
Mhm.
It was the de facto general plan document for anything open space, habitat, and everything. They deferred completely to the YOLO Conservancy. So it's probably what's going on there, but I don't know for sure.
Well, potentially an opportunity with the requirements for adding open space and rewilding elements to general plans for counties and cities.
Right,
Right, they might see a benefit of some sort of partnership
Mhm.
across jurisdictions if it's not a big cost to them.
Right, and they're richer than Solano County's richer than Yolo County.
Oh, really?
They might
Are they?
have some, yeah, well, because they have so much,
What?
they have all of that development, retail, they have a lot. I think they are. Anyway,
Anyway.
I can find out, I'll find out, because that's a good point, and,
Let's don't go down
I know
that
the
economic
Solano
analysis rabbit
Land
hole.
Trust probably wouldn't be interested, because they're the ones that were doing the El Molino easement with, and I had such trouble, like, getting the little 8 acres.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
they're all about farmland, I don't even think they would be super keen on,
Okay.
converting the farmland that's between the levees into habitat. So, that was a problem with El Molino.
Okay.
I've
But,
run into that with them as well.
Yeah, I mean, it took a lot to get even the language that we got in El Molino to do that.
Hmm.
So, but, I can find out what the organization is that kind of, I don't know, there's gotta be somebody that oversees the Solano HCP.
Yeah, I think, blonde guy, I forget his name right now.
Solano County Water Agency.
Chris, what's his name? Chris somebody.
Solano County Water Agency may be someone to talk to as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Wow, that'd be good.
they might, for sure, with
That would be-
helping with the restoration, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I don't know about the acquisition, but for
Yeah.
sure about the restoration.
Sorry, so we don't have any fee title purchase, we haven't made any fee title purchases in Solano County before? Is that-
No, we
No, we
have,
did.
that
We made
10
one.
acre
That 10 acre.
addition to South Fork is in Solano.
And the partnership there has been non-existent.
It was just us buying
Well,
it,
because
right?
it's only 10 acres. and,
Oh, okay. So
We just bought it and also honestly, it's so small, it's almost the whole thing is riparian already,
Mhm.
except the tiny little walnut. So there wasn't really any restoration need, because it was really just to protect the riparian that was already there. And it was so small, it was just, 10 acres, but
What about the South Fork Reserve itself? Isn't that something we bought?
yes,
So that's
but that's in Yolo.
That's in Yolo.
That's in Yolo?
Yeah,
the
Macy's
line,
is
Yeah.
divided.
Macy's the line.
Wow.
Yeah, that's in
Kind of
yellow, and then the
interesting.
other
Yeah,
side's,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
know, it's weird, if you look at the,
Yeah.
well, you can see that, the line,
That line that goes through the light blue there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
see it
Wow.
says, see how it says YOLO? So that you can see
Yeah.
it's Mace is
This is
the
in
actual
yellow?
line.
Oh, this is in Solano.
Yes, that's in
Yeah.
cause that's
Yeah.
further down,
Yeah.
further west.
We're not buying that.
Yeah, it goes down.
No, I'm not buying that. It's already publicly owned.
Or bought.
Anyway, but that's I will definitely
How interesting.
look into that and see, at least if it gets a little bit more serious, who knows? Who knows, they might help buy it, who knows?
Has there been contact with either of these property owners?
Yes, well, so the same broker that, helped me buy the 10 acres, he knows the Shonen guy the Shonen, I don't know how you pronounce it, and then he has a contact with HM Claus as well. He has made initial contact with them and kind of talked about,
Mhm.
that they're willing to talk about it, but we haven't really, settled on a price, kind of similar to Pashol, but, I need to get together with the broker again and kind of talk it through with him. And I also need to, after tonight, depending on what you guys recommend, I haven't even talked about it with the city council yet, so I need to go and talk with them about it too, to sort of get permission to be more, to negotiate and be more proactive about it. Right
Do you
now, it's
think-
been kind of feelers.
Do you think there would be pushback from the city council? Okay.
No, other than, no.
Very popular.
But, honestly, there's always the issue of, if we did get it, that's a huge increase in acres and, I would probably need another staff person.
So the main
That's
maybe,
what.
yeah,
that's what
barrier
it was.
would be increased maintenance costs or management costs.
Okay, right, yeah, maintenance over time,
But there wouldn't be concern that it would take a large amount of the budget for the application?
No,
No,
in
because-
fact, no, in fact, you
It'd be a
know.
good-
Because measure
I-
We
money
need
is,
to, we need to spend measure of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, and they, it's restricted, so they can't use it for anything else,
Yeah.
but they look at it. They look at it and they see
Hmm.
zeros and they,
That is not being spent.
well, it's money that's sitting there,
Yeah.
And-
but it's restricted, thankfully, so it can't be just siphoned off to do something else.
and the issue is that if we don't spend measure of money, we cannot go and say, let's extend it at some point.
Right,
I mean, if we show results with the, the money that was gathered through Measure O, then we got a good argument to renew it and
Yeah.
continue.
That ends in like 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it is time to
To spend.
do it,
This would
yeah,
be
yeah,
a good-
and put it to good use.
Yeah.
And people have been very happy with having a place to go,
Oh,
so,
yeah, that's
um,
so beautiful.
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question for you, of what you think the likelihood that you could get an additional staff person to support maintenance, given the city budget? And I don't know if measure Q, would make a difference or not.
Well, so, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, so I don't know what the city council would do, obviously, but, the good news is that there is Measure O now. So, we could make the argument, I mean, right now, like my position and Chris's position, we're not totally paid for with Measure O. It's a combination of Measure O and general fund. So if we got another staff person and we kept those same percentages, yes, there would be a hit to general fund, right, if we did that. So, or we could, fund a position totally with Measure O, which we could do, but then, the counter to that is that, when I first started, in 2015, there was a lot of backlash and anger about too much of Measure O being used on maintenance and staff, and not just city staff, but just the contractor, everybody, right? And so at that time, and it was pretty bad, and so at that time, that's when I started doing that. I got finance and we did the whole Measure O, accounted for, where Measure O had been spent since 2000, and then we kind of made a pledge to say, okay, well, we're gonna make a pledge to just try to keep maintenance and staffing costs to a third. So that's why in my budget presentation every year, I kind of track that and say, okay, we're pretty much at that. And so we would probably have to go over that if I got another staff person, because especially if it was fully paid by Measure O, or even if it's partially paid, we're gonna go over that third.
Right.
But my argument has always been, we could go in open session and talk about that with the community. If we made a big purchase, it's sort of a rational argument, right? To say, hey, we're getting a couple hundred more acres, so we're asking to kind of, increase that percentage, and so that could be, that's something that I would be willing to do, right? But I'm not really willing to do it. People have asked us to do it, some people have asked us to, they want more care on the acres that we have, and I kind of resisted it just because it's kind of hard to make the argument that we pledged it and we haven't really gotten more acres, so I and Chris is like, no, we're able to kind of make do with what we have now, and so we've kind of muddled along, but I would be willing to, ask for that if we got some big, addition to the open space acres.
Got it.
I think that makes a lot of sense, in my eyes, and I think that maybe even including that in the general plan update, is sort of like explaining how, with more land and more things to manage come higher costs of maintenance would be good, so that people can start to understand that there is a direct link between them. It's not just completely separate factors,
Yeah, and then, it's even I didn't realize, you know, I think a lot of people think that the open space kind of just is, and it doesn't really need to be taken care of. You know, like Yosemite or whatever, you know, it's just sort of there.
Yeah.
And you don't really have to do anything to it, it's
Yeah.
natural, and, you know, and it's just not like that when it's near urban area with all the invasive species and the
Right.
vandalism and whatnot, you know, it's actually does take a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, but I think it's even a problem with national parks. So.
Well, and it is.
We always want more parks, but you know, what do you pay for those employees?
Yeah, maybe a tour, I mean, this is in the future, but maybe a tour of an existing open space where Chris or you or the
Sure.
commission talks
Mhm.
about that as a way to like educate the residents of Davis, and if there was, you know, maybe a proposal for more staff or something in the future.
Yeah,
That could just
could
be a way to
do
help,
an outreach, kind of do kind of a, public
so
education.
people actually like see what it
Mhm,
takes,
what it
and
takes.
looks like, and the benefits and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
And, you know, yeah,
There's also like a long-term goal, right, that to purchase the,
to kind of, to link up with
To link
UC
up.
Davis.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
yes. To kind of link up with the UC Davis land.
a great next step.
Mhm. This would make it quite closer, you know? Yeah,
But
the
yeah,
Shannon one is really, that one gets you pretty far over.
yeah, that would be, you know,
Yeah,
that would be a good step. Yeah,
yeah.
that would be a good step, especially once
Yeah.
the other side is being restored. That'd be great.
So Tracy, you're looking for a recommendation from us to take this to council?
Well, yeah, to basically, so that when I go to closed session with the city council, I can say that we talked and that you guys, you know, this is what you recommend, to share with them what you recommended, that either we, you know, don't pursue this, we pursue it, or pursue it with certain suggestions or wishes or whatever, you know? Yeah, to basically share that with the city council and, you know, so that, because they'll wanna know what did the Open Space and Habitat Commission think?
Does anyone have a motion they wanna put forward? More questions, more thoughts before we do that?
I do have another question.
Go for it.
It said that the property is intended for ag production, but it's currently in row crops right now, right?
Yes,
Is there more thought behind that?
well, the reason I said that was that the city's, you know, the open space program, because it's a fee title acquisition as opposed to an easement where we let the farmer farm. This one, we're not gonna farm it. You know, the intention here is not that either the city farms it or that I lease it out to tenant farmers like some of our other farmland, right? The intention would be to, you know, over time, we probably would have to do that on an interim basis, but over time, the goal is to convert it to habitat like South Fork Preserve. That's why I said that,
Got it. Okay.
yeah.
So, anyone? Steve, you about to say something? You about to make a motion?
I'm not sure what to say. So
Well-
we're looking for a recommendation that the council go forward with.
Yeah, so I said, you know, my recommendation would be that the commission make a recommendation to the city council that the city begin formal negotiations with the property owners over the terms of this fee title acquisition. So it basically is saying,
Yeah.
you know, so that when I talk to the city council, I can say, yeah, the Open Space Commission agrees and recommended also that we start formal negotiations and try to come to terms with these two property owners.
No.
That doesn't mean, you know, it doesn't, we may never, so, you know what I mean? It doesn't bind
Yeah.
us to actually doing it, it just says, okay, try to make a deal, you know?
Just,
try to work with them and buy them.
and have the support of the city council to do the deal eventually, so
Can I
Yeah.
see the,
that, yeah,
This one, it's this one.
yeah.
Yeah, I was reading the wrong one. It's the same.
Number 2.
You mean you didn't read my staff report?
I think you did, it's just, I don't know the exact words to make a motion.
You can just read it
I'm
and it's,
teasing you.
So, I'll try it. A motion, the commission recommends formal negotiations with the property owners. Just use their words, over the terms of the fee title acquisition. Is there anything we wanna add to that? Let's say,
of,
of the 130 acres adjacent to the South Fork of Buda Creek Preserve.
yeah.
What else do we need to say?
Second.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I think that's good.
It's just the words, I just need the words.
I know.
It's too many words.
Any further discussion on the motion on the table?
I'm all for it.
Okay, then let's move to a vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay,
All right.
great.
No, that is exciting.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I know, well, don't get too excited about it.
Yeah, now for the
I
lessons.
know,
No,
I
but,
know,
hey.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
If we don't try, if we don't try, if we don't try, yeah.
You have
Well,
to play
Tracy,
it.
I think you've
Yeah,
been doing great with that.
yes.
Okay,
All right.
Our second,
So the next one, yeah, so unfortunately it
It
late in
doesn't
the game
sound-
after I already
What
sent
happens?
everything out. Amber Gill called that
oh,
the deal had fallen through
On this
For
one,
the,
on this one,
Okay,
this
yeah.
piece
I
here.
wasn't so crazy about it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest, I mean, the ideal, the thing about it is it's connected to easements we already have. And
Alright.
it's pretty close, comparatively
To the city.
speaking, to the city.
right,
Which again is one of the things that, we heard many times in the 2016 public feedback was, everything that's preserved is miles and miles away and, so we've been trying as much as we can to, based on that feedback, to get easements that are maybe closer, even though this one isn't on the border, but it's closer than some of our other ones that are way up in, Dry Slough or Willow Slough. And,
and of course.
so, and it is connected, it is adjacent to, it's not on its own, it's adjacent to easements we already have.
Right.
So,
Was
but,
there a reason given?
What happened?
the reason, so he already owns this one, but it's so small, it's not really worth
Yeah.
doing on its own. He kind of wants to do it, but I'm like, it's too small. That's why it kind of was nice to have this, because it made it doable. He basically said they're having, I don't know, he didn't give me too many details other than to say they were having some family issues.
Ah,
So, he still intends to do it. He's still, he's not
It could
given
come
up, it could come back, but it wouldn't be for this round, so I wouldn't be doing it for January for this round 10 salt grant funding, but maybe it would be for a later funding round.
do we have
So-
anything for the?
This funding round, this, in January, what I was gonna try to do, based on what we've talked about is, I was gonna try to do this one, but now I'm not. But I would be doing, the Beauchamps one that we talked about,
yeah.
and I would be doing the Deer Capital one that
The
we talked.
Oh,
Is
Deer
the
Capital
dry
is still on the table?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
Okay,
yeah, although I haven't answered the question about whether
Yeah,
I could
yeah,
do
yeah.
both, or just the
Yeah.
320 that's in the Davis planning area,
Yeah.
or what about the one that's outside? I still have to, find out about that,
Okay.
but I was for sure gonna do the 320.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have those two
Okay.
that I would do the pre-application for
Well, you know.
in January. And this one, I guess, would have to wait.
Mhm.
And that happens sometimes because, as you know, we were trying to do this one, and then this one fell through too. I can't get her to.
Yeah, and it's
They're
another
having
funding
family issues
issue.
too.
Yeah,
So,
Issues.
everybody has to agree.
Sure.
So,
Mhm.
I know that's hard sometimes. So,
Mhm.
anyway, I guess I still have it on the agenda. I guess what I would recommend is we sort of, table this one for now, and then if it comes back next year, whatever, I'll just bring it back again. You're already familiar with it, I already sort of have the
Mhm.
preliminary acquisition report, but you don't have to make a motion tonight because, right now it's kind of just on hold, and we just sort of table it, and I found out about it too late to take it off, so that would be my recommendation, is we just sort of table it for now, and I'll bring it back when they've resolved. But I know the Gills are still trying to get it.
okay.
That's okay by me. Any objections to that from any commissioners?
All right.
Well,
Do you wanna, why don't we can somebody do just a motion to table it?
oh, yeah, sure.
I make a motion to table item 6B for whenever it's relevant, if the Gill family comes back.
Do a second on that?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
All in favor of tabling, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, so sorry about that.
Stuff happens.
Stuff happens, it does.
Yep.
So, okay, so
Yeah.
this
Let's
one,
move over to this other
I do
exciting
have a
project.
couple of hard copies if anybody wants to look at the hard copies. Yeah. Oh, here.
You have a copy?
I have a small one,
little
but I
ones.
printed, but.
So, did we ever, with the new commissioners, did we ever talk about, we talked about this a little bit, I think, when I did the overview, but I don't know, maybe would it help to kind of do a little summary? Because I think some of the new commissioners maybe didn't hear all of it, I don't know. Basically, this,
Christina, how familiar are you with the project?
Very little.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll let you do it.
okay,
Overview.
thanks for
All
asking.
right.
So, this is a property that UC Davis already owns. And a couple years ago, actually it was Patrick, I think, who, I don't know if it was Mark too, or it was just you, but Patrick, and a city council member, we
And
had,
Andrew Folks.
and Andrew Folks. We had a good experience on a partnership that the city and the university did on Russell Boulevard, and so there was some discussion about, what else can we do? That was. that
And the
went well.
COVID, project as
And the
well.
COVID, right, the
COVID
COVID.
response.
And so we wanted to
Oh, you
kind
have
of try to
one
have an
computer?
open
Okay,
space,
you're good then, all right.
an open space partnership. So this property, I think it was probably Andrew's idea, but this property kind of came up because the university owns it and it's kind of just there. It's, this is the riparian, this map doesn't go all the way, but I'm sure everybody's sort of familiar with the riparian reserve up here, and there's a lot more kind of going on here, a lot more habitat restoration work that they do, but this property, it's just sort of sitting there. And I don't remember actually why they bought it, but it was owned by Caltrans. And Caltrans owned it for a while, bought it from a farmer, because it was farmed for a while, like everything else in here. And Caltrans bought it to, basically use for the dirt, and, it excavated all the dirt to build some of these highway overcrossings. So that's part of the problem with this property, is it's a weird elevation, and so, as Andrew will tell you, it's too low, anytime like an oak establishes itself, maybe it'll hang on for a couple years, but then as soon as it floods, you know, it dies, and then it's too low for, oak savanna or anything,
Oh,
or oaks to take
forest.
over, and then it's too high
high.
for riparian. So it's just a really bad elevation.
It's really great for yellow star thistle and eucalyptus.
Yeah, and so it
Yeah.
basically is, and eucalyptus. So it
Wow.
basically is weeds and eucalyptus is what it is, and,
Just-
you know, the university really hasn't done much with it because of funding, and so that was sort of the partnership was like, well, you know, that was sort of the partnership was like, well, the university said, we'll provide the land and make this a project and maybe do the CEQA and the permitting if city, you provide.
And
some-
importantly, the maintenance.
And the maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll mostly take care of it. If
But-
you will help us and, with, the initial funding to get the pre-development done, you know, help with the grant, help with the public outreach, help with, get the grant application, do all that stuff. And so it was like, sure, so that's what we're doing. So we've been partnering on that for a couple of years now. And, so we've had, you know, we had a series of, public meetings, recently. This is sort of what it looks like. This is sort of what it looks like now, and you can see it's like basically eucalyptus. You can see how thin, again, the riparian corridor is because it was farmed before it was excavated. So the riparian is pretty thin.
The banks are super steep,
Mhm.
just not supporting riparian.
And, you know, that's another, as we all know, along the creek, since this is, you know, human-made, it's dredged, it's just a straight shot, right? It's just straight on through, you know, it doesn't meander at all. So we have an MOU, you know, we have kind of an agreement, the university and, the city, and, how do I, is this it? No. Where's the, here it is. That we would partner on this, oops, too much. And, so we started having a series of public meetings to get sort of 3 drafts together, 3 concept drafts together, and we brought those to the commission early this year, and one of the attachments, the last attachment, is the staff report from February, which is when the commission kind of looked at the 3 drafts and provided feedback. And then after that, then we had a community meeting at the senior center for the city, and then we had one on the university with students. And both of them were really well attended, and we got some great feedback. And so, you know, the ICF, the consultant that we hired, I kind of consolidated all the notes and everything, and so I kind of summarized kind of the key feedback point, you know, the things that we heard the most. So on the habitat features, you know, what we heard the most was, you know, that there was a desire to kind of not have the entire site have trails all over it, you know, like not, because a couple of the options did have kind of trails going in, you know, on the, you know.
Every part of the.
Most parts, yes. And so there was a lot of feedback about that, and saying, you know, can you kind of keep some of the site just for the habitat, you know? And so that was one of the things that we heard. Another one was that, you know, there was a desire to try to have as much kind of open water as possible. So on the 3 design features, we had one that had a lot of open water, and then we had some that were more kind of marshy, not as much open water. And so again, we're trying to balance, you know, trying to provide the different habitat types. And so that went into the design of the final design. And then on the public access, you know, of course, you know, that was a little bit easier because, you know, basically everybody wanted everything. And then, but then there was also a very strong, you know, desire, which I was happy about, to have the pedestrian bridge, which of course is gonna add to the cost, but there was a lot of, support for that, and also to have it away from the road and not have it kind of connected to the road. And so we did it in a way, we have to sort of, what we're trying to do is have it the same, we're trying to basically have it, you know, in the same, what's the word? Not shadow, not footprint, but you know, the car bridge creates, you know, on the, you know, if water's going through it, right, it creates a blockage, right? So we're trying to have, the pedestrian bridge is designed to be in the same blockage. Again, trying to minimize any impacts to the flood capacity, you know, the flowage through this area, so it's gonna be in basically the same
Yeah, no, that's
blockage area.
really brilliant. I just was checking that out.
Yeah, I mean,
Flood
even
capacity, yeah.
even the supports
The support's
are in the
same height.
same support, everything's the same, so
Wow.
it's gonna be right in the same little area.
Very smart.
Well, it's, so we can, you know, hopefully make it easier to get a permit.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of support for the bridge, so we, you know, put the bridge in, obviously, and located it away from the creek and also angled it towards,
Yeah.
that was one thing I wanted it to, angled towards the open space and not towards the road.
Yeah.
So it's angled that way, and then, you know, obviously a preference for some of the amenities like the pier and the boat launch and the boardwalks and the observation decks, which of course is understandable, and we wanted that too. Another thing I wanted to mention is in some of the discussions then after the community meetings, and some of the discussions that UCD and I had with the consultant were about, you know, because, especially UCD, because they're gonna be taking care of it, was to try to design everything with maintenance costs in mind. So for example, we kind of ditched the vault toilet. Originally, I think even somebody on the UC David, the provost or somebody wanted a toilet out there. But we ditched that because, you know, it's just, you know, Andrew said that thing is gonna get trashed and it's gonna be graffitied within a week. And, you know, we didn't wanna put something nice in and then just have it be totally trashed. So we got rid of the vault toilet and we decided to do something more like what's right out here. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but on the,
Porta potty
next to the-
enclosure.
it's, yeah, because also, UC Davis already has a contract with Porta Potty Service for, the riparian reserve.
Oh, that makes sense.
And so they would just continue to do that, but we would cover it, like the one out here, it's
Cinder block.
surrounded, well, it's not cinder block, because again, that's graffiti. It's a fence, it's like a wire fence, but then it's covered in vegetation. So it's just a green screen basically around it.
Yeah,
And so we thought we'll do something like that, because again, you can't graffiti on vines.
can't do that.
And so we're trying to think about ways that we can.
That's smart, that's smart.
That would be a challenge. We'll find out a way to do something. But, that reminds me, this is off topic, I won't say it, it was just, Chris told me about what some people did to our creek overlook in Southport Preserve, and I thought, what?
Really?
What?
It was basically, somebody went out there with, it looked like, I don't even know what it was, he said it looked like shaving cream, but it wasn't shaving cream, but it's like this spray goo stuff, and they just spray gooed the whole, he had to like scrub the whole thing off. I went down there over the weekend and saw, I could still see some of it left, but it's like, you know, you just don't know, they come up with creative ways to vandalism. So anyway, we got rid of the vault toilet, the site signage, we also decided, you know, that we weren't gonna do our standard interpretive panels like we had, you know, that we were thinking about. One thing was, because again, especially in this area, I'm sure you guys all know, is this area in particular, that part of the creek, there's a lot of problems with vandalism and just
Hmm.
people go out there and way more than we get at South Fork Preserve.
Huh,
And so Andrew's position was, if we put anything out there like signage, we have to just keep everything super minimal. And that's why he liked these sort of signs that maybe are just sort of metal black signs that have cut out letters on them that are just simple, like, and then when we have more things, what we're gonna do is, UC Davis has some kind of program, I forget what it's called, Steve, you might even know, but where students provide different kind of, even for a class project, like the interpretation and the signage would sort of be temporary and changing all the time,
Yeah.
depending on different things that students are working on.
Does that.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the Arboretum
It's
does.
called the Learning by Leading program.
Yes, so it'd
Okay.
be something like that, so that there's nothing permanent there that could be vandalized, but there'd still be interpretation, but it would be more of the temporary nature
Oh,
and
my.
would be changing depending on what was being studied. There would be some signage, but again, Andrew liked these because he's like, if somebody does something on them, all I have to do is get my black spray paint out and just go, and then it's done. And, the words and the concept are still there. So, so that was another thing that we were kind of thinking about with this
Jeez.
whole thing, and like anything, like a shade structure or anything like that was gonna be with very narrow,
Iron.
very
Painting
narrow holes and things, so that again, there's no surface. The surfaces are very limited.
True.
wow, okay.
Is the parking lot set to be like a sort of gravel parking lot, or is it gonna be more akin to similar like the?
Good question.
I think we were,
I don't know.
going to pave it,
Pavement?
for accessibility reasons.
Yeah,
So I think we were gonna pave it.
Why is it?
I'm just curious, and also if there's gonna be lights placed in the parking, I'm guessing no, right?
No lights.
No lights, okay.
Is it more fun to do donuts in the gravel or?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there wouldn't be any lights. I'm not gonna have any electricity, out here. So those were kind of, kind of the main things that the consultant sort of used to sort of consolidate those three different plans into one plan. Where I do think that, and again, we're trying to, put in just little things to make the creek meander just a little bit. I think this one is a really good sort of amalgamation of the three.
Yeah,
Again, it keeps this whole area here inaccessible to people except for maintenance, but this whole island here is just habitat. And even this part, so, the trail is just here. So like this whole big chunk is, just for habitat.
although
Yeah, there's that.
I noticed at 15, yeah, you saw the same thing. 15, there's a low water crossing, so I guess.
Oh, that's for maintenance.
Okay,
So
Oh, so-
Andrew said that this area here,
yeah,
he's gotta have some way to get onto the
Well, you
island.
need
Yeah.
to be able to get
Yeah.
into it.
So we're trying to, it's gonna be tricky, but it's one of those things where we put it way over on the far side
okay,
so that it's sort of out of the way, because if we put it, here,
Oh, yeah.
people are gonna see it, so.
yeah,
It's as far away as possible. We're gonna try to figure out a way to sort of, make it like,
try to,
some
yeah,
either signage or something that just says, do not enter, or I don't know what, with something, but this is primarily for the maintenance group.
Is it a seasonal bridge? Because remember we had that
Yes.
discussion about
mm,
lifting them out in the winter?
Yeah, it's gonna be a seasonal.
Because it's gonna get trashed.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna be
Mm.
it's gonna be some kind of low water seasonal thing that they could just get like some bobcats or whatever they
Mm-hmm.
use to get in there, just, for the dry season to do some
Yeah.
maintenance, and then in the wet season, it's just gonna be wet.
Good.
another question is, do you understand what number 17 is? I was a little Full benches with habitat structure.
Which
It's
is 17.
it's basically a low floodplain.
Okay,
And it's sort of the issue I was trying to get them to think about, which
okay,
was narrowing the channel a little bit,
yeah.
on the north side and the south side to get what,
So that's
Tracy's
how,
been calling meander.
that's how you get it to meander, but
little
it's low enough that if it,
Oh, it's submerged on the
Okay.
first flow.
okay, okay, I get it now.
Bankful means,
Yeah,
the 1.5 to 2 year flow, which is
Okay.
basically every year.
Okay,
It's gonna go underwater.
okay,
So it's willow habitat
uh-huh,
and cottonwood, like the real, the sandbar willow
Mhm.
stuff, you know?
mm-hmm.
The stuff
That
that likes to
sounds
be wet all the time.
So,
So it's a very good, compromise on
Mhm.
what we were saying and the three, this is just I don't know about you guys, but I've done a lot of environmental design and this is a very good amalgamation of what we've been talking about.
yeah, no, it looked very nice to me.
I do have one question on the parking lot. It feels a little big to me, but, that might be just, I don't know how it was decided how many spots,
I
We
think it's
decided
gonna fill up.
40.
think so.
Yeah,
we decided 40.
Okay.
And it's only on one side, so like it's designed to be sort of a drive-through, drop-off thing, so,
Mhm.
so
People are gonna love
there's
this.
only parking right here and it's 40.
So over on the, just as, for comparison, over on the riparian reserve, how many cars do we have parked there during the summer?
I
oh,
don't know, that's a good question.
It
Oh, like
overflows.
A lot.
it overflows regularly and the parked along,
I know, but I don't know what the numbers are.
yeah,
Well, because we don't want,
Much more than 40.
Okay,
we don't want people to park up here.
right,
Or, obviously, we didn't want people to come down here and park. So, I don't know, 40 is not a scientific number, but we just thought 40 sounded, reasonable, like that would probably accommodate most people on the weekends, because again, it's sort of, you're thinking about weekend parking.
yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
And, honestly, we weren't, other than this sort of, oak alley, as they call it. That's here. So so it would be leading to the Raptor Center.
Oh.
And so
nice,
this is
yeah.
that oak alley, I think it's down here.
yeah, they show it, in 50 years.
Other than that, we weren't really using that little triangle to the north from
Okay.
us, right here.
That's how it's gonna look like in
And picnic, that would have to be where the picnic
2065.
benches are. Yeah, I know. That's
If
why
everything
actually-
goes well.
That's why I was saying, can we put I'm all for oaks, but can we do like some other trees in there, native trees that maybe grow faster?
Oh, well,
I know, it's gonna be forever for it to look like that.
So I know this is probably obvious whenever you have a parking lot, you also have bike parking, but it's not actually
yep,
noted anywhere. Is that just,
Really good, that's good.
so
We
it
need
might,
that.
it might need a.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
I know we talked about that, are you sure?
What about this little thing up in the upper left? There's this thing right here. What is that?
Number
It
4,
needs a number. If you look at the upper left, where the dotted lines
Yeah.
are, there you see a little gray zone.
Oh, yeah.
That looks like bike parking to me, but. I could be
2?
wrong.
That's a porta potty. Oh,
No, to the
No.
left of it.
To the left of the dotted line?
oh, that
To
thing.
the left of it, yeah.
I guess, I think it would just be good to have it
No,
like.
I
Yes,
don't know,
yes.
it's
labeled
weird.
or
I
something.
Yes,
would've
yes,
sworn we
yes.
had it
Yes.
on there, but I will
And
get
it should
that
be
added.
metal rack. You know,
Yes.
Yeah,
lock
nice,
to-
yeah, a very
Yeah, yeah,
nice
yeah,
bike
yeah.
rack.
Yeah.
Not one of those wheel ones.
No, those are awful.
Yeah,
And-
that's so strange, I would've sworn that was on there, but for sure. we'll
And I
get that.
wonder, I don't remember if this was talked about actually at all, but, would there be bike access on these trails, or it's just pedestrian only, right?
no.
No bikes,
Okay.
it was just pedestrian, you
Really?
could bike
No
to
bikes?
it, no,
And,
No.
and Andrew is on with that?
yes.
Okay, great.
No, it's just,
Plus, they get in the winter, they get torn up, and they're
Mhm.
supposed to
Oh,
be
yeah.
accessible no, it's really for pedestrians. Now, the bike, so, yeah, in fact, here too, he had a bike, or not he, Andrew, the ICF, and Andrew's like, no, get that bike, I don't want any
Take the
bikes on these
bike out?
trails. Well, it kind of for a while looked like you could bike down here and go this way.
Mhm.
Oh,
He's like,
okay.
no, I don't want that.
Ah,
You could bike to this site, but then you'd have to
Yeah.
park your bike and walk in.
Walk up.
yeah,
Um,
I'll take the living road.
I think that's good.
three.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Excited for this one.
Probably some additional signs needed about that, and for designating the islands as habitat areas. Cause you're putting boats in these waterways, so
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I was looking at the
you might
bike.
need some additional signage about that, even they're simple. Hopefully it's part of the design.
For the
For the trail designations and for the
for
islands.
bikes in the islands.
And for the islands, just like, if the purpose is habitat, just something to notify the public, a visual, like
Yeah.
they do in different habitat zones.
Yes.
Right, yeah, cause
In
if
that
someone is
boats.
kayaking,
You mean
like
that
they're not
they're
allowed to go on
sensitive
this.
habitat area, do
Yeah.
not enter, or something like that.
But that'd be interesting, cause it's almost like you'd have to, you don't have to
Just like
fence it
those
all, but
small
maybe.
signs, you know, spaced a little bit.
Yeah,
for what?
yeah, I mean,
So
for
that, like,
sure.
if you're kayaking around here and you don't get off onto this island.
People
Oh,
don't follow.
Sure.
But we
But
will,
some
I mean, he and I
people-
talked about that, where I definitely want, also for that, for that water crossing for the maintenance, I'm concerned about that, people are gonna use that to get over to the island, so we have to figure that out, like
Yeah.
what that signage will say,
Um,
but,
yeah.
we
but,
could
you know.
definitely have even some, some of the interpretive signage, kind of stress that as well, like just to keep reminding people
Yeah.
that, hey,
You
please
know.
don't go on that area.
Yeah,
And this is an exciting project. I'd see a lot of like Camp Puda kit, like you keep
Yes.
adding on to
Yeah.
visiting this
Mhm.
site, or even in the parking lot discussion, like opportunities for field trips as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Where
Yeah.
the parking lot would be helpful to be able to accommodate multiple classes of kids.
Mhm.
So,
yeah, in fact, this sort of, kind of
Oh,
was
that brings
like
up a
a
really
drop
good,
off, what, go
I need
ahead.
a bus parking spot.
huh,
I know because I took so many field trips with my students, and there's nowhere to put the bus. It might be like these, you see these two big spaces, maybe at the very end or somewhere at the beginning, you could have a longer space for an actual bus, like one of those 50-person buses. Otherwise, what they're gonna have to do is park along.
Or I wonder if we could just maybe have an arrangement with the Raptor Center or something, for that
Yeah.
occasionally,
That
and
could
then,
be-
you could just walk this way.
no,
I don't know.
only like K through 12 use buses, I don't think, because it's too expensive.
Usually it was moms.
Yeah, it's like parents.
Usually
yeah,
parents.
yeah, but.
I know that, yeah, drive, take a day.
I'm like, a bus would be lovely.
Sometimes dads.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
I've driven more than
Parents, I
once.
should have said.
But I actually think you'll get larger vehicle, like for the parking lot, if you're offering kayaks, like in some season, like you'll get larger vehicles, so
Sure.
that's what, I'm not,
Yeah.
yeah, a bus will just take up the spaces they want.
But no RV camping there.
What
My
about
question for
motorized?
you was on was your question about the parking lot related to safety,
Yeah, I
or?
just want to see if it's gonna be illuminated or,
Yeah.
just gonna-
Safety,
Driving
not
car.
like access.
and then, also if it's,
Yeah.
not gonna interfere with
Yeah.
the period area there.
There's
Cause
already
all these
too
space,
much.
all these open space areas everywhere, I mean, even though it's not, there's no gate or anything, they technically are closed at dusk,
Yeah,
because we really
but-
don't want people there at night at
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
because you can't see where you're going and it's too much you know.
Yeah, it's hazardous, maybe at night.
It's then that sort of encourages partying and, you know, and then also, or people go and then, you know, misstep and fall and, you know.
Question, there's a 21 and a 20, but there's nothing on the, oh, here they are, down here, signage, you got it. Oh, okay, all right, I get it.
Terrace.
I really like these, I hope they're not totally trash, but I really like these sort of circular, I like these little shaped, because that was the other thing, is we were trying to think about doing minimal shade structures, because it is gonna take a while for trees to grow.
Oh, yeah.
And so like the picnic benches might just initially be sort of in the shade structure area. You know, when trees get bigger, we could have more, but, you know, to try to, so I really like sort of these, you know, both on each side, like, I think that there'd be good gathering places for people. Classes could, you know, have little sessions there, and I really like those.
In that area, in the parking lot, if you want a faster growing oak, live oaks grow pretty fast.
Yeah, maybe some live oaks.
Suggestion, to mix it in with valley oaks, because they're too slow.
Yeah,
But ultimately, valley oaks have a better habitat value in the long run.
yeah. But it's a pretty long, that's a big, kind of a big area, so it could be a mixture.
Yeah, it could be a mixture, and I think that would be more visually interesting too.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, assuming there's not major, changes that you guys have, we were gonna, the next thing now is, because the next thing is the university has to kind of really start doing the CEQA, now that the project is now getting defined.
Yeah.
They have to do the
nice.
CEQA work, and then, at the same time, start working with the Central Valley Flood Control Board and the US Army Corps of Engineers for the encroachment permit for all of this.
Sure.
So now, you know, where up until now, it's kind of more been in our, you know, my lap about trying to get this finalized and doing the public outreach and getting the final design. Now it's gonna be kind of, UC Davis is gonna have to,
Get the permits and.
yeah, do the CEQA and get the permits. That's gonna be the next phase, and do the 65% construction drawings, which we'll use for the permit, but then also for the grant application for the construction.
Good.
Well,
But this is also to answer your question before, this also potentially could use some of the Measure O for the matching funds for the grant application. And also because one of the things the university, the exchange that we had was an exchange for us using Measure O, because right now for the paying for this consultant, we're actually not using Measure O, we're using open space development impact fees, because we have to use those sooner. We're using a little bit of both, I think, but mostly the impact fees. But the university then will give us like a perpetual public access easement over this property, because I said, you know, I don't want to use Measure O if we don't have any guarantees that
Oh, good.
the public can use it, right? I don't want it to be like a private university thing. So we'll get like a public access easement on the university's property, so that will sort of, you know, protect the Measure O investment that we
That's
did.
awesome.
Nice.
That's
nice.
awesome.
Yes.
And the university was fine with that, we were fine with that,
Yeah, they have a, you know, a public service
Yeah.
mission.
totally.
Which grant were you thinking?
Well, we were thinking of, already have met with the Wildlife Conservation Board, WCB, because they had a lot of money, and also there's no, it's a revolving, you don't have to meet a deadline, you can submit at any time. And they had a lot of money, and they were very interested in, kind of that off-channel, year-round wetlands. They were very interested in that. They also were very interested in the public accessibility and the bridge. So
That's good.
we thought, that was kind of another reason I wanted the bridge. I thought they really, not just because it's a bridge, but because of what it provides, you know, we don't really have, and we don't have anywhere where you
This is
can kind of
unique.
stand on not a car bridge, but a pedestrian bridge,
Mm.
and be in the riparian, you know.
You can stick it to
canopy.
Winters a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, Winters, but that one's still a car bridge, isn't it?
No, it's pedestrian.
Isn't that
It's
one?
the old
Yeah.
railroad
I know,
bridge.
but
Yeah,
can't cars go over?
No.
No,
No,
They rebuilt the car one.
yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
alright, so there's that one.
yeah.
So,
No,
right,
it's
so
great.
there's
Okay,
one.
we're gonna have to come up with something else
This
to
will be
one up.
nicer.
We're just getting even right now.
I know, they,
In Winters?
to drive all the way
I
there
thought
and check
that
out,
was a car bridge.
it's awful.
Okay,
Oh, it's
so I'm
supposed to be
wrong, so there is
downtown.
one.
Yeah.
There's not
Yeah,
right
it's like, and when you cross.
And it's
That
cool
was
because
kinda
you can
down-
see
And
down.
then
You can
they
see down,
redid that
exactly.
whole
Yeah, this will be the
area.
same thing.
Yes.
It looks beautiful now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
There was a lot of controversies about that, you know, really.
Okay, well, in the interest of moving the meeting along, are there any
Okay.
other thoughts,
Oh.
questions to consider here, or can we
My-
consider
There's
this?
not one here.
That's so
Recommended.
excited. Time-
Personally, Personally, I'm impressed. I think they did a good job and they took a lot of all the feedback that was given
Yeah.
and,
It's really brilliant, actually. in a
Yeah,
lot of ways.
that's good.
I do fear and I know,
Mm,
at least some of the channels are gonna fail initially, but
Mm.
that's why you need a lot of branching, like a distributary type design,
mm,
to let the water kind of figure out where the deep ones are gonna be, where the
what it
shallow ones
wants
are gonna
to do,
be.
huh?
Yeah, it's gonna work itself out over time.
That's true.
Yep.
It's gonna be definitely
Hmm.
a fluid thing.
Literally.
But yeah, it's not gonna look like this picture. Right,
No.
it's gonna change and
Very
right,
dynamic.
things are it'll be interesting to see how it responds,
Yeah,
you know, honestly.
experimental, like just, wow. My biggest fear is that the dominant channel, which is the current channel,
Yeah.
will prevail and everything else will be abandoned.
Oh,
We've seen it happen in the Bay Area over and over again.
oh, yeah,
Yeah, with tidal stuff.
oh,
Rivers are they're just as unpredictable. It's that entry point right there.
yeah,
That right downstream of our pedestrian bridge, that's the key.
Yeah,
That thing,
like that number 14 over there.
right next to 16, 17.
Yeah,
but.
yeah, no, I was looking at the
14 up there,
screen,
yeah.
yeah.
this one right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
14, exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
That's why they've got, you see those stumps? Those are stumps
yeah,
that are gonna be like riprap,
Yeah.
but they're trees.
Yeah.
Roots. It'll look cool, don't know how long it'll last.
well,
Well, that's what maintenance is all about.
bring more trees, huh?
No, it'll just magically take care of itself. But yeah,
We
no,
wish.
I know.
It's beautiful, I mean, I'm really enjoying the thought that went into this.
A lot of thought did go into it,
Yeah,
honestly.
You can see
And I
it.
think ICF really worked hard on it. And I think it has a little bit for, you know, it has a little bit of everything for a lot of different people that are looking for different things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
precisely. Oh, beautiful job.
And lots of burger pads.
So I'm definitely I'll follow up, I'm shocked, I can't believe it, I don't know, I just wondered, I'll follow up on the bike parking and, I don't know, we'll talk about a bus, but I'm thinking that, I don't know, we might
Yeah,
have to maybe have an arrangement.
might have to just pull out.
I don't know if
onto the
that'll
road.
happen too often, but anyway, I'll talk
Well,
about that,
maybe,
definitely
the bus,
signage.
the bus thing, it also is an issue where, see where the road from the parking lot enters the levee road at the far end?
What?
Where the road enters
Yeah,
at the other end.
Oh, here?
yeah.
That end. If that has a radius that a bus can turn, that we should make sure that a bus can actually make that turn.
I would hope they could find an arrangement though, really, because I feel like the bus would be a lot of paved area that would just be unparkable on for other cars, and it would just
Yeah.
remain that way.
And would be used only once in a blue moon, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they'll just park their bus with it when one comes.
We're gonna ask, what I can do is talk about like, yeah, what do we do if a bus wants to come here?
Or even a big truck that needs to deliver gravel or stuff like that, you know, it probably is big enough for that.
It's probably big enough for a truck, but I don't know if a bus could make this turn. But I guess I was thinking that, yeah, like, I don't know, some arrangement with the Raptor Center where the bus could just park here.
And down, turn around over there and then,
Yeah, or turn around at the parking, I don't know. It's a good question, I don't know. I don't really
it's a
thought about
detail,
buses.
it's a minor
I
detail.
don't think buses are used that often anymore.
Maybe it'll have to be two vans. Two big vans or parents or something, I don't know, but I'll ask about that and see what.
It's true, buses are so expensive, they're basically, can't do it anymore.
And the live oaks, that was good, and then, yeah, signage, we have to think about signage for sure.
Sorry, I have one more thing.
Yeah.
Just this lane, because I don't know if this is right down here.
Along the levee?
It's not the Levy Road, but it seems that.
This.
Drive on
This?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
This is
that,
like maintenance
that's,
access road.
well, it's the,
Something.
that's the DPR, that's there, and we can't change that because that's the levee maintenance road that
Yeah, that's-
DPR uses to maintain the levee.
Okay.
So that's what that is, that's why that's there, yeah, in an ideal world, we wouldn't have that, but we have to have that because they have to be able to get through here to maintain the levee. See, it keeps going, see, it just keeps going. It's kind of there, it's part of their easement that they have for the levee that they.
But that would be gated or, you know, from the road.
Yeah, people wouldn't be able to drive on it.
Right,
No, people can't drive on that. It's gated, yes, correct. I mean, sometimes the gate on the levee is open and people drive on that, like I've driven on that. But this maintenance road is usually closed, like they don't want people driving on that.
Before I
That's for
forget,
sure.
I found these amongst my stuff. These are YOLO Habitat, the plan, all on just a USB. Anybody want one?
It's a what? I'll take one. It's a what?
It's
Oh, I think
the,
I have one of these, but
it's
I'll,
the,
yeah.
Okay.
YOLO HCP, NCCP plan as approved,
Sure,
go on.
thank you.
ooh la la, this is.
Interesting.
USB.
Yeah,
can-
this is cool.
You can get it online, but this
See
one you
that?
could
Yeah.
download and then you
It's
could
just-
actually
it's just
like
right there.
highlight stuff. You could actually,
They were giving them away to get people to,
Viruses.
you know, get access.
Oh, that's good.
You're falling right into Steve's trap.
what?
Computer virus.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. I'm so sophisticated.
Yeah, are you a
How does this
Russian
even
hacker?
work?
Those are from Maitreya. Marshawn. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, so is everyone good on this item?
Do we have
Yeah.
to do anything to recommend anything?
No, no, it was just to
Just
get
tell them we're
feedback.
impressed.
Okay, I
At least
will.
some of us are.
Express your satisfaction, yes.
Yeah, they'll be happy to hear
Wow.
that you were happy about it in general, because they did work hard on it.
We did, I can see it.
In fact,
I kept trying to envision how it would all get mushed
I
together.
know, me too.
And I couldn't do it, it was like, oh god,
It took a few iterations, but.
yeah. But it came together.
Okay, let's move on then to the liaison subcommittee updates.
All right.
Which I'm the only one. So on Lower Prudhoe Creek Coordinating Committee, I believe I mentioned last month that we were installing for the first time a movable fish ladder in the check dam. So that is in, we had a field trip down there, we saw it in operation.
I saw it.
Looked beautiful, fish had been using it, I don't know what the numbers are. I haven't talked to Max in the last few weeks, but in the first few days after it went in, we had, less than 10 fish that we counted, but it is being used. And so the pulse flows are going on, the attracting pulse flows, so, next week, I think we have our next LPCCC meeting, so I'll get an update on the numbers that, we're getting through that, but it looks like that is, the first kind of successful, small-scale, effort that we're doing to deal with this check dam. It's kind of a 3-stage process, this is the first one, the second one is, doing a little 1,000-foot bypass around the north edge of it, and then hopefully building out the multi-mile new realignment of the creek at some point. But it was a good first step. Happy to see the structure looked great. It looked like it was working really well.
Nice.
Cool.
Is it accessible for the public to see?
No, it was then, but that was the last day until they closed the wildlife area for duck hunting.
Gotcha.
So is that just gonna stay in now until,
It stays in while we're doing the pulse flows.
and then it'll be removed?
And then they'll pull that out and they pull the check dam out to let the winter flows just come down.
Of course.
I see, so it'll be removed at that time?
Yeah, so it'll just go in seasonally, so that we have a lot more flexibility in how we're operating the check dam, in the first couple months of really when the salmon are coming up, which is the same time that the farmers need to have the water levels up to irrigate rice fields.
So the reason to do it right now is just because of the timing of the check dam, it was just not, this allows more flexibility and more time for the fish to get around the check dam.
Yeah, so, starting with the Accord, when it all went in, they're pulling the check dam in late November, early December, and we're discovering now, as we're actually doing more studies, that the fish are already there and waiting to go up, like, in October, early October. And so, this allows, essentially an additional month of access.
Okay.
Wow.
Cool.
That's great.
Okay, that's cool. Anything on the YHC, is that all for
No,
LPCC?
I don't know if that exists
It
anymore.
probably-
I will certainly let you know if it turns out it does exist, but, I haven't heard anything on that.
Is Chris Alford involved in that, you know?
Yes,
With the Conservancy?
yeah, she is.
Yeah. Yeah, so this, I was an official, or I am an official City of Davis liaison to, I don't even remember what the committee is, but it's for non-signatory projects using Conservancy, the Conservancy. So we had 1 or 2 initial meetings a year or 2 years ago, and I haven't heard anything since, so,
Disappointing.
sounds like that's not really a thing anymore, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, so that's it on liaison assignments, so, long-range calendar, upcoming, agenda items.
So the next meeting is December 2nd. I think what I had on there possibly was, if I could, get the budget overview, like we talked about, done. On the general plan, possibly, what I wanted to mention about the general plan was that I think last time, or 2 times ago, I mentioned that, the city had received proposals from consultants, and then the one that the city picked, then there was gonna be a period of like refining the scope of work. So the solicitation was more for, what, will you do this, are you willing to do it, and then sort of what would your approach be? So then the city picked one, and then there was some time spent talking with that consultant about, well, what would be the more detailed scope of work that we would, put in an actual contract. And so I think what's gonna happen then, is then that contract is gonna be brought to the city council. And I think, I looked on the long range calendar for the city council before this meeting, just for my own knowledge too, like, well, when is this happening? So it looks like it might go to the city council on November 12th. And so I think then that will be sort of key to look at the staff report, because I don't know if that November 12th staff report is gonna have some information about commission roles and how the public just commission roles, and then also just generally the public outreach, or if that's gonna be a separate meeting. But I thought maybe, look at the agenda for the 12th. I'm gonna look at it, see what the staff report says, because, that might have some hints about about what next steps would be for this commission, they might say, we're gonna come back at the next meeting to talk about the commission and the public outreach schedule. They might not put that all into one agenda item. So anyway, it's moving along, anyway, November 12th staff report, maybe we'll have some information for us. So, I also could potentially give you guys sort of an update on Davis Wetlands, that Helix effort. I do have to talk to the city manager about it. I kind of want to talk to the city manager first, but that's a possibility as well. So those were kind of the things that I had on my list. I don't know if there's anything else that might come up with a project, or I haven't heard anything right now.
And before we adjourn, I do have one quick announcement that I'm guessing it's not gonna be for December, but it will be an item at some point, which is updates on the Covell Farms, Covell Village, whatever we're calling it, proposal these days, which is, does everyone know what the
Village Farms, or
Village Farms, yes.
like where they're, right by the cannery?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like north of Nugget.
Right, exactly.
January
Yeah, right around
102,
the
basically.
So there's basically a big vernal pool alkali sink there. And I've been working with John Whitcomb, the owner, and the developer, and Rochelle Swanson, who's kind of the project manager,
That chunk,
to help advise on kind of the conservation aspects of it. And spent almost 2 years with them, but they've decided now that they're going to be pursuing the biological preferred opinion option. To include like a 40-something acre vernal pool preserve. And so I'm really happy that it's going that direction, that they have finally understood that they need to not pave over it.
After they mowed and disked it.
Yeah,
What I hear.
But I mean,
yeah, I just did.
Well,
yes.
Disturbance.
Anyway, there's going to be, part of that going to council, looks like on the 19th, so if people are interested, show up on the 19th to council to see what they have to say. I'm gonna be making a statement in support of,
19th of this month?
November, yeah. Anyway, so they're moving in the right direction, really happy to see it. From where I'm sitting, all of the conservation pieces are coming together, and what I see is if that actually happens, we're gonna have an ecologically preferable situation to what we have right now. They're gonna be building a lot of pieces, so. Yeah, if you're interested, show up on the 19th, hear what they have to say.
At what time?
I don't know.
The last proposal I saw was quarter acre lots over the whole thing. So.
Yeah, they made a lot of progress.
This is a big
yeah,
development.
that's a big deal, well.
One more thing I'd like to bring up is, I believe this is gonna be the end of 2 or 3 of our terms, 2 or 3 people, 2 or 3 of the people here have been here for almost 4 years, and our terms will be ending with the next meeting.
I think they were extended.
Oh, they were?
Yeah, they were extended to June.
No way, okay.
Yes, because I think Lindsay asked about this as well, because I think it was I forget what year it was, 22? The city council took an action,
Yeah.
and I don't, the clerk, I think, sent you guys emails, but maybe
I
not,
don't think
but,
the clerk sent us emails.
Yeah, I
cause
would've,
I don't really remember it honestly either, and I probably should have told you too, but I didn't actually know about it either, but I think it was because of the way the election, it has to do with timings of elections and the ability of the city clerk to re-up the commissions and the solicitations and all that. They just looked at the whole timing of things, and so, they thought, let's just extend, the people who are finishing at the end of the year, let's extend 6 months, so.
okay,
Everybody's, I think if you go on the commission website and look at your term, it says now June
June, okay,
2025.
I'll check that out. Great.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great, sounds
I
good.
think that was
Okay.
it just you and, was it just you two?
Well, Emma resigned already.
Yeah, there's us two, and
There was somebody else and he left as well because he moved.
right, the law student, yeah,
Yeah.
a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Can't think of,
Sherman.
Sherman,
Sure, yeah.
Oh, right.
Sherman, yeah, right. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
This is
I,
good news.
to my
Yeah.
knowledge, yeah,
Glad to have you for another 6 months at
nobody's,
least.
June
nobody's,
30th.
term ends in December. I think they got rid of all of the ones that expired at the end of the year and changed everything to a June, more like a fiscal year
Yeah, that's more sense.
model.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm uncertain if I'm gonna do that, so I'm just
If you're
in
gonna do,
conversation with Tracy.
If you're
if you're
gonna
gonna do what?
keep on coming after that.
Yeah,
After June? Or
After
after
December.
December?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
but on long range calendar, if I can say one more thing, I think it'd be great to get an update, like review where we're at with the strategic plan. We had that table and I think there was like this UC Davis project is one that really advances a couple of those strategic plan actions around partnerships with UC Davis. Some of the acquisition reports, I think it would be great as new commission members come on, that the strategic plan goes through 2030, I believe.
yeah, I can't
So,
remember, but.
yeah,
But that's
something like
really a guiding document, just updating where things are at with implementation of that plan, or maybe it needs a refresh.
With 5 years of date, if I
Yes.
recall correctly, so
that. That's a good idea.
that would be 25, we need to.
I have that on my tickler, but I didn't put that in my notes for December.
How long did it take to develop that
Ooh la la.
last time?
Strategic plan?
Plan? Oh, it was a very,
What was it? I don't know. I don't know that it was it multiple years?
Well, the community meeting was in 2016, and then the city council didn't approve it until March 2018.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah.
So we had the big, input event
Yeah.
in the spring of 2016, and then the city council approved it in 2018.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay,
Any other long-range items, anyone?
Mhm.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, then I will adjourn us.
All right.
Thanks, everyone, have a good Thanksgiving, and see you in December.
Yep.